East going to win this tournament?
I don't know. It's going to be competitive, certainly. I mean, typically it's Pac-12 is down a little bit this year. Arizona is like number 15 or something overall. I'll be interested. I think it's going to be.
So your prediction is?
My relatives would love to say UNC. They work at UNC.
Okay. So you want to go there?
I'll go there.
Okay, UNC. Cool. I haven't watched any games. I am predicting that Mizzou, University of Missouri, is going to do really well. They're gonna surprise some people because they're getting their best player back for the SEC tournament, and that's my school where I went to college. They've been a good team without him, and now they're getting like one of the top 5 players in the nation who's been injured all year. Literally played 2 minutes in the first game. They're getting him back.
I love amateur sports. I mean, there's a whole other discussion on whether college basketball is amateur sports or whether they're getting. I mean, whether
we should do that discussion someday.
But that'll be an interesting discussion. But I love that mistakes are made. I love the strategy. I mean, there's just so much that's great about it.
You like watching other people make mistakes because it makes you feel better about.
No, I like people that overcome adversity. Chris Webber that calls timeout when he doesn't have timeouts. Those kinds of things.
What a dream-crushing moment.
And he turns it into such a powerful thing in his career. He wasn't defined by that one moment. I mean,
You don't think so?
No. I mean, we still remember it, but think about the illustrious, powerful, great NBA career that he has.
He did, yeah. So, shifting gears
to a real topic.
Are we live? I think we're live. So, you are making a pretty big claim.
I am making a big claim.
Why?
I know you like big claims.
Well, I do like big claims because I think people need to take a stance. Everyone's so wishy-washy and middle of the road and blah, blah, blah. I hate it. So I want people to make statements and tell me something emphatically. And now you were born and raised in Vista.
Yep.
So let's establish your bias right off the bat here. You were born and raised in Vista. You live there.
Yep.
Parents live there.
Yep.
Still.
Still live there.
And you sell a lot of real estate there.
Yes.
So, so there's your bias. Now.
And did you already say that now I've moved back and I live there? Did you already say that? I wasn't really paying attention. As in most of our conversations, I'm typically thinking about when does it come back to me so I can talk about me? Are you done yet?
Well, at least you let me finish this time, so I will give you that.
So anyways, back to me. Yes. All right. Keep going.
So you told me that Vista is one of the most underrated. I'm not sure if that's what we
I don't think I said one of the most. I think I said Vista is the most underrated city in San Diego, and I would make the argument that Vista is the best kept secret in San Diego.
I'm going to give you a chance to substantiate that.
Okay. Ready?
Yep.
Variety of different reasons. Get comfortable. And as a realtor, I tend to look at it in terms of price points and schools and et cetera, but I think that in terms of culture and what's happening and what the future looks like for Vista. You know how every city has some little corny phrase? Barstow's is my favorite. Barstow, when you're driving out to Vegas, you drive through Barstow, and its little phrase is crossroads of opportunity.
They're just trying to suck you further to the Vegas vacuum.
Come to our Del Taco, yes. First Del Taco, that was where it started. That's the rumor. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not. There are many things that I love about Vista. Number one, so in North County is made up of many different areas. You've got the Carlsbads, Oceansides, Vista, San Marcos, Escondido, and then you can there's North County ventures south as you get into Encinitas, but kind of along that 78, that's the main corridor. What I like about Vista is that the price point is significantly lower than both Carlsbad and San Marcos. San Marcos, of course, is a little to the east, Carlsbad a little bit to the west. The axis is the same, but the price point is down compared to those.
Let's talk about that.
Why?
That's right. Why? Tell me why, because typically the market gets this stuff right. You're saying that they've got it wrong, essentially.
I am saying that they've got it wrong.
Vista's undervalued.
Yes.
Prices should be higher.
Yes, I'm comfortable with all of that, within the correct neighborhoods. That one reason is that Carlsbad and San Marcos as a whole, and certainly you can check out individual schools, but as a whole tend to have schools that are 8s, 9s, and 10s on a 10-point scale. Vista's schools tend to range between 6s and 8s, and that's middle schools, high schools. Rancho Buena Vista High School is a 7, Vista High School is a 6. Within Vista Unified, which in the school district boundaries, of course, are tricky because they're different than the actual city boundaries. So Mission Vista is actually located in Oceanside, but it's part of Vista Unified. It's a 10. And what San Marcos did is they imposed this tax years ago. Melrose brought that in so that they could pump money into the schools. Vista is surrounded by, I would say, the vast majority of the stuff around it, and not if you go too far north, but is surrounded by high-priced homes, very strong schools, and a very good demographic. Here's some basic, I looked up the stats because I knew you were going to, because I know you like facts. And facts makes you skeptical in your terms, in your...
I'm always skeptical, Steve.
You always seem to be skeptical.
Perma-skeptical.
The median income in Vista is just over $60,000 per household. And yet, for California statewide, now this was actually 2016 is what they had the demographics based on, but in California as a whole, the average was 70,000, it's like 68,000. Average price for the median home in Vista was $460, whereas in the rest of California is $480. Now granted, that's not perfect data, just because they're taking all of California, they're taking the Santa Rosas and the San Franciscos and all those different places. But what I like about Vista is that if you just look in the microclimate of what's around it, the median house price in San Marcos, in Carlsbad, as you go south to Encinitas, it becomes a whole different ballgame. Those are all higher priced. And Vista has the unique duality of offering tract housing, which Carlsbad is filled with. Encinitas is a little bit older, and so it doesn't have as much of that, but still kind of has some tract housing. But Vista also has big lots. I grew up, my parents, when they bought in 1979, bought a 3-acre parcel, and then they split it, and now they live on a 2-acre parcel. For a long time where they live, kind of out in what we call unincorporated Vista, there is minimum 1-acre parcels, which has slowly changed to half-acre parcels and quarter-acre parcels as time has gone on. But you end up with a lot of those original parcels, which are acre lots. If you buy an acre lot in Carlsbad, even just the land, it's $750,000. If you put a nice house on that, you're in 1.3, 1.4.
More.
Yeah, I mean, depending on where in Carlsbad. And
1 acre? Yeah, I think you would have a hard time finding a half-acre lot in Carlsbad.
Absolutely.
That's under $1 million. I mean, I think you're probably at an acre if there's even anything for sale that's an acre in Carlsbad. It's closer to $2 million, I bet you.
Well, and so here's what I constantly run into as an agent is that I met with clients last night. They're mid-30s. They are first-time home buyers. She's pregnant. They're both from the Midwest. He's from Indiana. She's from Chicago. They are interested in buying a home. And they said this. They said, well, we would like to buy some kind of lot. We're pregnant. We want our son to be able to run around and have a little bit of freedom to get dirty and skin his knees and those kinds of things. We don't want to pay a premium if we can afford it, just because we're first-time home buyers and we're getting into this market. And we're willing to commute a little bit. Now, he works in Sorrento Valley, so Vista is a haul from there. But that's what I immediately thought of. You want space, you want affordability, you want above average schools. That's what Vista brings. And when I was a kid, I love saying that because it makes me feel like I'm really coming along in life. Back when I
knew nothing.
Back when I knew nothing. San Marcos was the same. San Marcos was the same way in that.
So what's changed then?
Money has changed. And Vista has more recently, in the last 10 years, has done some significant things. They've built up their downtown, which is Main Street. Now they've got the Strawberry Festival, 5K. They've got a variety of different things. They've got Moonlight Amphitheater, which is, I will go out on a limb here and say, the top 3 outdoor amphitheaters in Southern California. It's
Wow.
fantastic. If I represent anybody in Southern California, or in North County that moves down here and they say, hey, we're moving from San Jose, what is there to do? What should we do? I always say, go to Moonlight. Go to Moonlight. I mean, check their website, it is remarkable. It's fantastic. It's an outdoor theater,
So
Phantom of the Opera, all kinds of stuff.
what changed then? Because the comparison between San Marcos and Vista, I think, is a valid one.
Yeah.
So you think that San Marcos has had the growth that you're expecting to see in Vista?
And San Marcos, yes, and I am expecting those changes. San Marcos is slightly different because they've got the university there, Cal State San Marcos, which brings a very different demographic, meaning you get college-aged kids, you've got college-aged, that housing that's around there, townhomes, condos. There's a whole bunch of building that's going in San Marcos, and stacked right next to it is San Alejo Hills, which is a family community which was built, unfortunately, at the wrong time, right at the top of the market, and then that was a ghost town for a while. But now that as the market's rebounded, that becomes a very desired place. 2 schools right in the community. People love it, and it's totally geared towards families. Vista, the median age has come down. I mean, to give you some, again, using these demographics, the median age in California is like 38 years old per city. Vista is down to 31, meaning that what we're getting is we're getting a younger and younger crowd, like myself, that is coming into these older communities and saying, there's a lot of good things going on here. I want quiet, space, cul-de-sac, all these different things on a fairly good-sized lot. As people get priced out of the Carlsbads, Encinitas, North Parks, these communities that just get inundated with traffic, and I mean traffic in terms of demand, inevitably people are going to go east. And that's why I think places like Santee, and I know that we've had this discussion before, I think that's going to be a market that really changes significantly.
It has.
Yeah, and they're building there.
Santee
Vista's
has.
seeing new construction. Carlsbad, the things that I think are going to be really challenging with Carlsbad is that people will buy it based on the zip code. They have new development, new construction that is going in just south of the 78, and if you've ever driven on the 78 between El Camino Real and College Boulevard, if you look south, they're there, and they're in an old rock quarry is where they are, one way in, one way out, townhomes for $550,000. It's new construction, so it's a pretty product, but you look at the freeway, it's not great access, but you're in the zip code that therefore everybody feels like, hey, but we're in Carlsbad, so we can say, number one, we live in Carlsbad, but it also means Carlsbad schools. Vista is going to change that, in my opinion, just because it cannot be overbuilt. My business partner, Anna Roosevelt, she is very involved in terms of the building side of it and figuring out the development. Vista, I think, has done a great job of focusing on important development and pinpointing, this is a good project, this is not a good project, because this changes the feel here. I think communities like Carlsbad are allowing too much development in those communities, and what's ending up happening is that it just becomes inundated, overwhelmed.
It's Disneyland.
It becomes Disneyland.
So, and that makes sense. So I'll defend your claim.
Ah.
I'll prop you up just a little bit before I bring the hammer.
Oh, I'm ready.
So
Toss me my wallet just in case it gets nasty.
toss it softly, carefully. I would rather someone throw this mug at me than throw your wallet at me. I'm gonna have to have you throw it over here in a second, Carrie. Get it ready. But I'll wallet shame you every time I get the chance. So what I do think that Vista has, which is unique and really can't be competed with, is the space, the larger lots. They're not building 1 acre lots for homes anymore.
Right.
So what you have there is a limited supply that is not going to increase.
Right.
Whereas you have a tremendous increase in residents and demand and so forth. And also, very well priced. When I look at homes that are for sale in Vista, sometimes I'm just blown away that you can get something so amazing.
Comparative to what's happening in the market.
Compared to what's happening elsewhere, there's a tremendous amount of value there. And we'll also agree with you that some of the cities like Carlsbad is a good example because it has seen a lot of development, a tremendous amount of development. They're kind of like just open for business, right? Like, we're here, bring the money, you know? And they almost did that Measure A thing, I think it was what it was called. It was going to be that huge mall, which just didn't make it through the voting process. But they're very pro-growth business. You want to build something, you got the money, bring it on, let's go. So there's not a concern for the feel, which you have in Vista, where people go, wait a minute, is this going to mess things up here? Is it going to change the way this is? So I think there's more protection for Vista in what they have there right now, what you guys have there right now, and that's unique. So those two things I think are very, very valuable.
I'm waiting for the big but.
No, I still have one more positive thing to say because I want to build you up as high as I possibly can. The other thing is that I think from an investment standpoint, you talked about the schools, some of the ratings are in lower, 6, 7, things like that. A lot of times people are looking, I just want 9, I just want 10, or whatever it may be. But typically you're going to get the best, bang for your buck from a real estate standpoint strictly on buying in places where the schools are a 6 or a 7 now, and then 5 years from now, it's an 8, it's a 9. They've made changes, they've gotten money, whatever it is, and they, things have gotten better.
And so I'll interrupt you because I love interrupting.
I knew you would at some point. In fact, I kept talking because I wanted you to interrupt me.
Here's my thought on this is a tangent thought. Our world is made up of 5s and 6s. We live in a world where we have to function in 5s and 6s. I don't want my kids to grow up in a school that is an absolute 10. And I will go on record saying that because I think that it's important for them to have experiences with bullies. I think it's important for them to have experiences with bad education. I mean, I am in no way saying that the education is bad in Vista or that the bullies are there.
Kind of what you're saying.
I'm just saying I want my kids to grow up in the real world because we need bullies, because life is filled with bullies, is my claim. People that have bosses and dealing with those experiences are valuable. I grew up in the Vista school system. Now granted, it was, how long ago was it? Back in my day, it was 25 plus years ago. So I'm in no way going to make the comparison between Vista schools 25 years ago and Vista schools today. But I think that there are similarities between them. And I think it's important that that kids grow up in situations where decisions need to be made.
You know what's an interesting thing?
What's that?
We have the same hair. Except for yours is red. We have the same, I saw your fro picture.
Oh.
We have the same fro hair.
I was on The Price is Right. I was like down here. VHS. I was running down and it was like, I'll have to find it.
That's hilarious. Please do. We should do like a charity thing where we grow our hair out for like 6 months. We don't cut it, and then we shave our heads.
Well, I did it for like 3 years. It was insane. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have to be that big.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be Price is Right level. Just, we'll just make something of it.
All right.
Because we both would have big old school fros though. 6 months, you know it. It'd be all froey.
Both of our businesses would heavily decline, and we'd lose our relationships. Yes. But just at the bottom, we would shave our heads.
Live shaving them back.
Valuable.
Yes. We got to bring it down. Okay, so I noticed how you interrupted me right before I was about to come on the other side of that.
Right.
But
hopefully that you would forget.
Yeah, almost.
I'll interrupt you again.
Good strategy. So I think you have all those things going, which are positives. I think what you have from your claim, which is that it's the most undervalued, right? In San Diego, most undervalued area. I don't think it's undervalued. I think people do see the value. I think that's why you're seeing younger people move there. I think that what's happened to some of the other areas are maybe overvalued. I don't think Vista's undervalued.
I see what you're saying. You're saying Vista is correctly valued and everywhere else is inflated. Good claim.
Not everywhere else, but
yes.
But pretty much. No, no, that's not what I meant. How do I say what I'm trying to say? So I think people see the value. In other words,
Yes.
I don't think people are missing the value. I think people see the value, which is why you're seeing more people go there. I don't think what you're not seeing in Vista, which you are in some other places, is people just coming in and being willing to pay stupid prices. You know, like you're just not seeing people overpay, you know, by dramatic amounts, overappraisal, making crazy offers. You're not seeing that kind of stuff.
And to interrupt you again, I will say I think that our society tends to think about things in terms of stigmas. For example, I know nothing about the Compton or Downey market. However, I have some preconceived notions in my head about whether I would raise a family in Compton or Downey. I don't know if those communities have changed. And that's all based on stuff that was probably from, I don't know when those 80s, 90s, that kind of stuff. I mean, the Rodney King was, what year was that?
92?
Was it really that long ago? Wow. Is that 92?
Will you Google that, Carrie? Rodney King. When was the Rodney King incident?
So, because I was alive when that happened and saw that on the television, I put that in my head. Those communities, it's quite possible that they change. Here is the stigma that happens. Anything that is not Carlsbad in North County comes with a stigma. Oceanside comes with a stigma. Vista, 90 what? 91.
There you go. That's crazy. That's crazy. I cannot believe that.
Vista comes with a stigma. San Marcos has changed the stigma, but it's taken a lot of time. Escondido, stigma. Here's what I mean.
There's absolutely no stigma in San Marcos. Absolutely none. In San Marcos?
Yeah.
There is no stigma there.
I think that there was for years, though. It was because it was lumped in.
You've been in the area for a lot longer than I have, but as of today, there's no stigma.
Yeah.
I mean, Lake San Marcos, Cal State San Marcos.
Yeah, San Alejo Hills.
San Alejo Hills, super duper desirable.
Yeah, Twin Oaks, there's some beautiful areas.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There's definitely no stigma there now. So what, are you trying to say there's a stigma in Vista?
Absolutely.
There's a stigma.
Yeah.
Which you think is unfounded?
Which I think is good as an investment.
For people who know that it's not real.
Correct.
Gotcha.
As an example, if somebody is moving down and they're moving to North County, and they ask somebody, hey, should I move to, I'm looking at these cities, should I move to Vista, Oceanside, Carlsbad? 100% of people say, go to Carlsbad, don't go to Oceanside, don't go to Vista. No. Here's what's crazy. You cross over the 78 from south to north, you go from Carlsbad to Oceanside. The beach is the same, the weather is the same, the access is the same, schools are different, but the prices are $150,000 different.
Gotcha.
You can see houses that are $150,000 more or less. That makes no sense as a market, in my opinion, based on, since we're talking about proximity. And then when you look at the lines for school districts versus the lines for cities, as I talked about with Mission Vista, that's located in Oceanside, but it's actually part of Vista Unified School District. There are places where you will live in Carlsbad but go to San Marcos schools, live in Oceanside and go to Vista schools. So there's so much crossover that happens.
I've never figured out why they have such a problem with that.
I think it's based on enrollment. I think because I don't know.
Probably just numbers of kids. You can't really predict.
You can't predict kids, and I think that's probably a big piece of it. But I think that would be an interesting thing to have somebody, an expert, talk on. Yeah. You and I are not experts.
We're not experts.
But we can pretend to be. So I think the stigma helps values in Vista. Here's what I like. If you want to live rural, if you're coming from the Midwest or Texas or something like that, and you say, hey, I want to have a lot of space, inevitably what most realtors think about is Fallbrook, Valley Center, some of these communities that are nice communities where you can have a lot of land but are far away.
Alpine.
It's like Shrek. It's like far away and far, far away. Vista, you have the ability. You like how I brought that in? I can tell that you like that.
Does Steve have layers?
like a cake or an onion? Anyways, what I like about Vista is you can still have an acre, 2 acres, 3 acres in some communities, in some neighborhoods, and still be 15 minutes to town, and still be 12 minutes, 8 minutes to the 78 freeway, which means access to the coast is 20 minutes. Now they're putting in the Sprinter, which is the public transportation that goes from Oceanside to Vista. The idea being that somebody that lives in Vista could catch the Sprinter to catch the coaster to go down to downtown. I think there's mostly cons, but some pros with it. But I think we've recognized that Vista is a growing place, and that there's going to be more people going there, and that all people need is access.
Is it possible that part of the reason why it's this best kept secret or undervalued area is because the people of Vista aren't promoting it?
Absolutely, 100%.
They're
I
like,
was even
no,
cautious
we
about
don't want you to come here. We like it how it is. Shh. Is that part of that's?
I think it certainly could be. I don't want my community to turn into Calavera Hills or something, which is a community of Carlsbad. I like I don't want to say sleepy, because that makes it sound like it's
Like everyone's drugged.
That makes it sound like we don't have streetlights, which is not what I'm trying to say. But I appreciate that it is a secret. I will tell you one story, which is both my parents are from Chicago, the Chicago area. And they ended up, of course, now they live in Vista. My aunt, my dad's sister, still lives in Chicago, and she received something in the Chicago Tribune about best climates in the United States. This is like 10 years ago. Number 1, Vista, California.
Climates?
Yes, in the United States. They said, the reason being, you're San Diego weather, but you're not right on the coast where you get that marine layer, but you're not too far inland where it gets all hot. It's the balance of both worlds. It's beautiful.
I think you're making that up.
I wish that I was.
Can you provide some proof for that?
From 10 years ago. Let me call Aunt Kath.
There was a magazine one time.
We're going to tag you, Aunt Kath. Well, we're going to see what we can do here.
It makes sense, though. It's also elevated, right?
Well, and that's another nice thing, is you get some real topography. I had a listing of 12 acres that was up on the top of a hill, and granted, only some of it was usable, but you had panoramic ocean views, and you're, I don't want to exaggerate, 8 miles as the crow flies to the ocean. So, I mean, you can get some really big, beautiful space. And I think that, my parents' property has a creek running through it. Tell me how that is going to, and as a little kid, I caught frogs with my brother down in the creek, and we'd bring them up, and I have numerous stories like that, climbing trees. Tell me that kids today in Carlsbad are going to have experiences catching freaking frogs? No.
What did you do to those frogs?
I do remember a couple of stories, but we'll wait until we're off Facebook Live. No, I was never mean to frogs.
Good.
I can see that this.
I want to believe
yes.
you. I want to believe you. That makes sense, because as I was thinking about it, as you were telling me this, it's not like there's a bunch of people there in Vista who are saying, Vista's amazing, you got to come here.
Right.
It seems like kind of the attitude is like, shh. It's like with surfers.
Right.
They say, surfing sucks, don't try it.
Absolutely.
Like people who really like surfing, they don't promote. They're like, yeah, surf, let's come out surf. They're like, surfing sucks, don't try it.
I've done a couple of hikes in Vista and then I've looked them up, and people have said, hey, don't tell Foot in the Field, which is a book of hikes that you can do, about this hike, because we don't want it public. We like the idea that you have to step over a fence or whatever it is in order to do these kinds of things. I will say, there's not a lot of industry that is in Vista. There is some, and we've got Business Park and those kinds of places. But there isn't really the need for us to bring a lot of people to Vista. Most people would commute, is what I'm getting at.
Okay. Which is different. Whereas you have certain areas like Carlsbad.
Yeah, walkability.
There's champions everywhere that are like Carlsbad. It's
right.
Amazing. You got to come check it out. And Carlsbad's really cool. Like, don't get me wrong, Carlsbad's awesome. I've never seen a place go from zero to hero so quickly as I have Carlsbad.
Yeah.
In my entire life. When I first moved here, people would shamefully tell me that they lived in Carlsbad with like great shame, like look away. I live in Carlsbad, you know. That's 12 years ago, maybe 13 years ago. And starting at maybe 4 or 5 years ago, this place is on fire, and it just keeps
Absolutely.
going that way.
Absolutely.
So I think there is definitely a big difference there. I've noticed that. I haven't spent that much time in Vista, but I think what we should do is the next time you and I grab lunch, let's go someplace in Vista.
Oh, I have numerous great places.
Yeah, let's do that just so I can get a little bit more of a feel for it. I've looked at the properties online. I've seen the amazing homes, great prices.
I'll plug some businesses.
Plug 'em.
Vista's Icebox, Curbside Cafe, the Yellow Deli. I mean, we've got a lot of breweries that are coming in from Iron Fist. And I mean, there's some really wonderful spots.
You'll have to give me those names again so I can tag them in this post and give them a little bit of love.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, if you like those spots. All right, Carrie, send me the wallet. It's time to wallet shame Steve. Yeah. Oh, God. Oh.
But this way, I want you to know, let me as most,
Oh, my God.
I just want to say that I'm
I just got hit by that. I mean, seriously.
I'm making sure that I have my
marks.
whole life with me. That way, what if I get kidnapped? That way, I've got everything with me.
What if someone tries to steal your wallet? They can't possibly hide this from you. I mean, pat down. On the Sprinter to Oceanside, no one's going to be able to get away with stealing this monstrosity. Can you get here? Let me just take it over here. Yeah. Can you show on that one? On that? Okay, look at this thing. Look at that. Have you ever seen anything like that? I have a pretty big hand. Like, look at this thing.
Wow, this wallet shaming has gone to a new level.
Oh yeah, this is big time. This is big time. This is me sort of admitting that I lost the argument. Look at this. Here you go. Cubicle. It's just like a popping cubicle.
I signed contracts behind it.
All right, guys, time for me to make some phone calls. Look out here. All right, that's enough wallet shaming. What's up, David Guzman? How you doing? A lot of craft breweries. Yeah, they're everywhere in San Diego, and I guess they're coming to Vista too.
Absolutely.
Which is cool. Like, that doesn't hurt anything.
Belching Beaver has just moved in. I'm forgetting the name of one that's right around there. There's many that are really going in there, and it's great. I mean, I'll tell you what has changed in my world is we used to go out to Carlsbad. Now we go out to Vista.
Interesting. Interesting.
And I didn't mind going out to Carlsbad before because it was a 15-minute drive, but it is kind of fun to go to some of these places and be 8 minutes from home.
Yeah, be totally local. All right, really cool. Fine, I'll give it to you. I don't have anything else for you, Steve. I don't know what to tell you. I wallet shamed you. Yeah, there's nothing else on my list. That was the only box I had to check. Congratulations.
Hey, thank you very much.
On your anniversary, and the wife is with baby.
That's right. August
She's
1st.
She's with child August 1st.
Well, I guess it's technically August 3rd, is that the baby is due, little girl.
Nice, dude.
We are over the moon. And an anniversary. Still married, still pregnant, married. Both good.
Both good, very good things. All right, man. Good to see you. Great stuff. Thank you for coming in. Really appreciate your time, always. And by the way, oh, David, Mother Earth? Yes, Mother Earth.
That's who I was thinking.
Oh, is that a brewery?
That's a brewery.
That's a brewery. Mother Earth's a brewery. We're going to tag all those businesses so you guys can find them in Vista. Check it out. Say hi to Steve. You see him in the grocery store. And hey, we'll just continue to make you smarter than everyone else.